As the year winds down, a particular kind of quiet settles in, doesn't it? The days get shorter, the light softens, and there's this collective cultural exhale. But for many of us, just as the world outside gets quiet, the world inside gets loud. The noise of expectation, of comparison, of resolutions just around the corner. And my inner critic? It takes that noise and turns up the volume until it's deafening. Maybe yours does too. It's a familiar voice, one that often sounds suspiciously like someone from our past. It whispers, "Look at everyone else. They're moving forward. You didn't do enough this year." It points to the goals you set last January, the ones that now feel like monuments to your failure. It hisses, "That thing you're still struggling with? You should have fixed it by now." It frames healing as a simple task you've somehow failed to complete, ignoring the sheer weight of what you've had to carry. It commands, "Plan harder." It insists that the solution is more structure, more discipline, more hustle, the very things that likely led to burnout in the first place. And its favorite refrain, the one that cuts the deepest, "Be better," not feel better, not be kinder to yourself, but simply be better, be more worthy, be less you. But what if we refuse to listen this year? What if we chose a different path, a quieter, more radical one? This is the path of grace over goals. If you are on the long, winding road of healing from narcissistic abuse, then you know the endless, looping cycle of rumination where your mind becomes a courtroom and you are perpetually on trial, re-examining every word, every action, searching for the mistake that made it all your fault. You know the exhausting hum of hypervigilance, that state of high alert where your nervous system is a taut wire, always scanning for threats, reading moods, and preparing for an impact that may never come but always feels imminent. And you know the crushing weight of the guilt and the shame? Then the very idea of traditional New Year's resolutions can feel like a beautifully disguised trap. They become just another set of impossible standards to fail, another stick for your inner critic to beat you with. They echo the moving goalposts and the never good enough narrative you fought so hard to escape. So let's try something gentler this year. Something that feels less like a command and more like a promise. Something that is, in its quiet way, so much stronger. I want you to do a little thought experiment with me. Imagine it's December 2026. A few years from now, the holidays are approaching. Where do you want to be? And I don't mean in terms of achievements, not the job title, the bank account, or the number on the scale. I mean, how do you want to in your own skin? In your own home? In your own mind? What would it be like to trust your gut? To have that quiet internal compass? And to actually listen to it without needing a committee of friends to validate your decision? To know deep in your bones what is right for you? What would it feel like to actually sleep through the night? To lay your head on the pillow and not have your brain immediately switch on, replaying conversations or pre-playing anxieties for the next day? Just quiet, restorative rest. And what would it be like to let other people's moods be theirs and not yours? To stand next to someone who is anxious or angry or upset and not feel an immediate compulsive need to absorb it, manage it, or fix it. To hold your own center. Picture this future you, this 2026 version of you. The 3 a.m. ping pong match in your mind is over. The mental gymnastics of trying to figure out what someone meant by that comment has ceased. You made a decision, maybe a difficult one, and a profound sense of peace followed, not chaos. You said no to something, and your world didn't fall apart. In fact, it became more solid. Instead of spending your energy trying to perfect yourself to earn the basic respect you always deserved, you now invest that energy inward. You listen to the quiet whispers of your own needs. You finally stop carrying someone else's weather. You realize you are not responsible for their storms, their cold fronts, or their unpredictable forecasts. You have your own climate to tend to, and it is becoming temperate and calm. If therapy and self-help books and podcasts haven't fixed it for you, please hear this. It is not because you are uniquely broken or resistant to help. It's because you've been playing a game with a rule book designed for good faith players, while you were up against someone who exploits your empathy, your kindness, and your fundamental decency. You gave second, third, and 50th chances that were not seen as acts of grace, but as permissions. They became weapons used against you to prove your endless tolerance for disrespect. You held yourself to impossibly high standards of communication, patience, and understanding. Standards that the other person never even attempted to meet. You were playing chess while they were knocking the pieces off the board. So here's the reframe. The goal isn't to fix yourself. The goal is to finally give yourself what you needed all along. Future you deserves deep, soul-level compassion. Future you deserves boundaries that protect your peace, not walls that isolate you. Boundaries that are clear, kind, and non-negotiable. And future you deserves rest. Real, guilt-free rest. The kind of rest that isn't just not working, but is actively restorative. And this doesn't happen someday. It doesn't happen when you're healed enough. It starts now, with the smallest, most intentional shifts. Over the next year, instead of 100 resolutions, I'm focusing on just 3 core shifts. These are practices, not perfections. The first is practicing tiny boundaries daily, not waiting for giant, dramatic confrontations. This looks like letting a call go to voicemail. It sounds like, I can't give you an answer on that right now. It feels like ending a conversation when you feel your energy start to drain, instead of waiting until you're empty. The second is cultivating self-talk that's kind, specific, and repeatable. When the inner critic says, "You messed that up," the new voice says, "That was a difficult situation, and I handled it with the tools I had at the time." It's not about toxic positivity. It's about accurate, compassionate narration. And the third shift is making decisions once, and then honoring them. This means we stop using our precious mental energy to second-guess ourselves. We make the decision, and then we pour our energy into supporting that decision, rather than endlessly relitigating it. If you feel you want guided help with this, if you want the actual scripts for setting boundaries without the paralyzing guilt that usually follows, if you want practical, repeatable tools to quiet that relentless inner critic and regulate your nervous system when it screams danger, then stay tuned. Because the most important thing to remember is that you don't have to do this alone. The isolation is part of the original wound. Healing happens in safe connection. When you look back from that quiet moment in December 2026, imagine seeing a you who chose grace over goals. A you who is not fixed, but is free. A you who finally, truly, feels safe and at home inside your own mind. That future you is not a fantasy. They are a possibility, and they are worth every small, gentle, courageous effort. Starting today,